So the streets are talking, Victor.
Hey,
Get him, daddy.
don't you walk on me.
Hey, Matt, sorry about that. Oh my
That's
God.
all good.
You know what, though? We never stop trying. We never
You
quit.
got it?
We got it. We're good. We're
You
rolling.
got it.
We're rolling. We're good.
Awesome.
Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you for being flexible. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Anytime.
So where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Pittsburgh,
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
okay.
And then about 4 years ago, 4 years ago now, I moved to Tennessee.
Oh, cool. Cool. I almost went to college in Pittsburgh. I almost went to Robert Morris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple buddies that went there.
Yeah. I almost played lacrosse there, but went somewhere else. It's all good though. That's cool, man. So you grew up in in an urban setting. How did you become a fisherman?
Yeah, I was kind of in the suburbs of the city. I was like 30 minutes from the city. But
Yeah. But I mean,
yeah,
still,
I mean,
how many opportunities are around Pittsburgh in terms of largemouth bass
the
fishing?
no, I mean, not a whole lot. You have
Right.
more
Yeah.
smallmouth, honestly,
Oh, okay. Cool.
in the Three Rivers, and then there's a handful of lakes, within a couple hour drive, but not as much as where I live now.
Right. Yeah. So how'd you do it? How'd you go from?
I mean, my dad had me fishing at extremely young age, so he was into it. He was into fishing, bass fishing, and kind of into like club tournaments and stuff, and just got me hooked on it, and I kind of took it from there. And as I got older, I started traveling more to more regional places, and here we are.
What was the moment where it all clicked, where you realized like, okay, I can make a living off of this?
Oh man, well, the moment that I realized like it could happen was like when the classic came to Pittsburgh, or the Forest Wood Cup in '05 or '09. But I was just a kid, I was just watching them. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I wonder how you could do this. But to actually like come together for me, I won a tournament in 2017, and a fairly major tournament, and that's what allowed me to make the jump and kind of start fishing at a higher level.
What tournament was that?
So it was a major league fishing. That's called the Toyota Series now. It was the Costa Series at
Oh,
that
cool,
time.
cool.
Yeah.
What was that
I mean,
like? Winning that? Like, what went into
worked
that?
my way up. I worked my way up in the ranks.
Yeah.
Fishing literally club tournaments with 10 guys into bigger Bass Nation stuff, or just Pennsylvania state tournaments, and then into like BFLs, and then the Toyota Series or Costa Series at the time. And yeah, I mean, it was honestly, looking back, I probably was a little green and didn't really need to be there. I didn't really know what I was doing compared to what I know now anyway, but somehow it all worked out, and we won that tournament. Thankfully it was on a fishery that was pretty not familiar with that fishery, but it related to something that I fished at home, kind of fishing Lake Erie. So it kind of related to that a little bit, and I felt comfortable, and ended up winning the tournament, and I think I won $44,000 at the time, which
Nice.
at the time I was working full time, and I think I was making like $40,000 a year. So
It's amazing.
yeah, more money than I'd ever seen in my
Oh,
life.
you must have been so happy.
Oh yeah, that was incredible.
That's great, man. So what was that, like a 3-day tournament? One of those types of
Yeah.
things? Cool.
Yeah.
So what was the first day like? Walk me through that, because that seems like a really important win for you. Hey, everyone. This is Victor Lucia, founder of the Brooklyn Fishing Club and host of this podcast. If you've ever wanted to learn how to fish in New York City, now's the time. The fall season is heating up and the striped bass are heading our way. We've only got a few more weeks of Brooklyn Fishing Club lessons before the cold sets in. These sessions are the real deal, hands-on, local, and unforgettable. You'll learn how to cast, bait, tie knots, and read the water while fishing classic New York City spots like the East River, Rockaway, and Coney Island. If you're interested in freshwater, we can hit Prospect Park in Brooklyn or head to one of the reservoirs just north of the city. You can book a 4-hour lesson for up to 2 people. Each lesson includes tackle, bait, lunch, plus photos and videos to remember the day. Reserve your spot with just a $100 deposit at brooklynfishingclub.com under the fishing lessons section. Once the weather turns, we'll shift gears to ice fishing lessons this winter, followed by our spring open water sessions, and both are already filling up. Don't forget, BFC members get 20% off, so don't miss your chance to up your game and catch some fish with me before the season ends.
Yeah. So, looking back, it's such a wild story how it all played out. Day one of the tournament, we had extremely windy conditions, and it was it was blowing probably 4 to 6 foot waves out on Lake Ontario, because the tournament was at 1,000 Islands in Clayton, New York. So it was blowing big giant waves. So day one, I have a big run out to where I'm fishing. I get out there, and it takes me like 2 hours to get to where I'm going, maybe more. I just remember, it was just, I feel like it was a scene out of like the movie Perfect Storm when they're out in the waves. Like, that's just
You were
how
George
I remember
Clooney,
that.
man. I
Yeah.
always find the fish, always.
Yes, yes. Like, that's how I remember that morning, that tournament day. I just remember it's like raining and misting and just so windy. But I finally get out there, yeah, and catch a few fish. The first day, I think I was in 7th place after the first day of the tournament. And then the second day, we had a little better conditions, and I caught a similar bag. I think I moved up maybe 1 or 2 places. I was in maybe 5th or 6th place. I think 6th place actually going into the third day. So really winning wasn't really on my mind. But then on the final day, I ended up catching the biggest bag of the tournament.
Yeah, buddy.
And
What'd you get? How much?
I caught, it was, I think 25-10.
How many fish
So
in that? What?
the 5 fish.
5 fish,
limit
25-10?
for-
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think I had 2 6-pounders and 2 5-pounders, and then a 4 and change or something like that. And
That's wild.
yeah, that jumped me
That's
all
wild.
the way up to the win by a few ounces. So it was
By a few
pretty-
ounces. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was
Crazy,
incredible.
man. That's crazy. Let me ask you this. Were you, all those big bass, were you targeting them with the same tactics, or were you like switching it up, or was one thing working and you were just going with it?
Yeah, I was like I said, I was a little green going into it, so I really didn't have a whole lot of baits or tackle or things I was good at. So I caught every one of those fish on the same exact setup and bait. It was just a drop shot with a Yamamoto shad shaped worm.
Nice.
It was a bait at the time that I absolutely loved and was super confident in catching those big smallmouth on Lake Erie. So I just took it up there and had the same success with it. And it's pretty crazy how everything worked out, because now I actually sponsored by Yamamoto, and I've actually won another tournament on the same
That's
bait.
awesome.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Man, dreams come true.
They do.
Come true.
That's what I always tell everyone, I'm living proof of it, because if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I came from nothing, wasn't handed anything, didn't grow up with my own bass boat or anything like that. Everything that I had, I had to work for and struggle to get. And
Blood, sweat, and tears.
yeah, oh yeah, no
Yep.
doubt, lots of that, and
Yep.
just the never quit attitude and do whatever it takes.
I was just talking to one of my buddies about this, like the whole success thing. Like, you never know when it's right around the corner. Like, it could be right there. You just, if you quit, you'll never know. But if you keep going, you keep getting shit on, nothing's working out, one day it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And you have to
No
believe
doubt.
that. And if you have to believe that with blind faith. and that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And I remember, back in those days, like I never even considered like another option or like that I would never not make it. That like
Yeah.
the thought never even crossed my mind. It was just like, okay, what do I need to do this or do that? And
Yep.
and like it's just you got to have that attitude and you got to have that, full commitment to it.
So
That
what were some of the biggest obstacles then? I mean, how did you get your first boat? Like, how did you build this?
Yeah, so obviously the biggest obstacle is, the money, financial. Like, how are you going to afford to buy the truck, a boat, and all that to become a tournament angler? It's really daunting when you start looking at how much it can cost. So, for me, I saved up some money while I was in high school. So, this goes way back to, this whole process probably starts when I was 14, 15 years old. I kind of had I had a dirt bike as a kid that my parents bought me as, a Christmas present or birthday present or something, when I was a kid. And as I got older and more into fishing, I was like, well, I need to sell this dirt bike and the little bit of money I had saved up from cutting grass, put that together and bought a little boat, just like a 15-foot little bass boat that I could just fish myself out of, not with my dad, be able to go, borrow his vehicle to tow it and just take my own boat out and really learn a lot about fishing that way. So, that was my first boat that I ended up buying there with, I probably had $2,000 into the whole rig. Um, and then from there, fishing out of that boat, I was able to, continue cutting grass and getting a little bit of cash to basically pay my entry fee into tournaments that I would fish on the weekends. And I would pay say a $40 entry fee, and I started winning a few of those, and would turn that $40 into $300 every weekend, and that kind of started snowballing for a little while. And eventually got to a point when I graduated high school, that I could buy a little bit bigger boat for $3,000. I bought my first real bass boat, an 18-foot Ranger that was older than I was.
That's awesome though, man. Look at that hustle. Look at that
Yeah,
grit. Look at that,
that's
man.
what
That's
it
the
takes.
American dream right there, man. Because there's no way to get it easy. There's no way to get it easy. Everybody sees the final product. They see Instagram. They think it's like a walk in the park. Nah.
Yeah, that's a fact. That you nailed it with the social media stuff
Oh, it's
nowadays.
unbelievable. The instant
Everybody,
gratification, all of it. It's garbage.
yeah, everybody has an opinion in the comment section, and they always want to say, oh, I wish I could do that, or I could do that too if I had all the money. And I'm like, if you only knew,
If you only knew.
people
If you
just have
only
no
knew.
idea.
These people in the comments, my thing with them is most of these trolls in the comments, they've never taken a risk in their life, and they
Right.
don't know what it's like to crawl out of the safety of mama's basement and like take a risk where it might change your life if it goes wrong, but you're going to risk it all and you're going to do it. They don't know what
Oh,
that's
no
like,
doubt.
man. They don't know what that's like.
Yeah. And tying it all back into that tournament, that I ended up winning, that really started this whole career for me.
Yeah.
I was working full time, after I graduated high school, I was working full time, but basically every dollar I made there, I was just putting back into fishing stuff. I wasn't making a whole ton of money, and it took every penny I could to sign up for that tournament. It was a $1,500 entry fee, and I was just scraping every penny I could to sign up for that entry fee. And actually, the first event of that year, so there was three tournaments in that series. The first event, I literally, like over withdrew my account getting gas at the tournament on the second day of it. And by the grace of God, we ended up finishing and getting a check in that tournament, which was like $2,000. Yeah, which and then that check allowed me to sign up for the tournament that I ended up winning. So it's pretty crazy
Dude,
how
look
it
at how
all
that
works
works.
out.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I think about it all the time, if that one day really, or that whole tournament hadn't happened, if it went a different way, I mean, my life could be totally different right now. I'm sure I would have found a way eventually, but that definitely was the jump that I needed to win that tournament, and the financial burden to allow me to get a better boat and step up to the pro level next year, and then it's kind of snowballed to where we are now.
It's unbelievable. It when you look at it, sometimes you probably think to yourself like it was supposed to be like this because
Yep.
what else would it have been like?
Yep, yep. You have no other explanation than
Yeah,
this is
this
just
is
meant
the
to
way it was
happen.
supposed to
Yeah.
go. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, and we're rolling with
Yes,
it.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about like technique and strategy. Like when you're coming onto a new lake on the tour, what's your process for figuring it out?
Yeah, so that's a pretty loaded question there. For me,
Sorry.
but now that I have a handful of years of experience traveling the country, fishing all these different fisheries,
Yeah.
and kind of seasonal experience of fishing them different times a year. If you told me we were going to Suss and Shuts Lake this month of the year, immediately I can start kind of game planning on the general seasonal patterns that a bass is going to be in that part of the country, and kind of what the lakes in that section of the world kind of set up like. And that's kind of where the process begins on potential patterns or baits that I'm going to be throwing. But I always like to keep an open mind as much as I can. But you're definitely going to have some preconceived notion based on the seasonal pattern and or the area of the country that you're heading. But once you get there, I look at a handful of things. I'm looking at water temperature. I'm looking at water clarity. And then obviously factoring in the seasonal patterns, based on what time of year it is. And I'm going to start, looking for areas where I feel like those bass are going to live based on all of those variables.
Right. Yeah. Are you looking at like maps of the contour of the lake, anything like
Oh
that? Or
yeah, yeah. So I would do all of that. So if we were going to a lake that I've never been, and we wanted to go, say, in April to wherever, Georgia.
yeah.
I kind of got an idea that the bass are going to be somewhere shallow, kind of spawning that time of year. So I'm going to start looking at contour maps and kind of Google Earth imagery to check out the fishery, get a good gauge on water clarity, how deep or shallow, what kind of cover it may have. So you can do a lot of that stuff just sitting on the couch at your house,
Yeah.
before you even get to the lake. And then, once you get there, that's when you really start dialing it in and figuring out the little nuances that the fish are doing or where they're at in that fishery, and kind of break it down from there.
Yeah. Right. So are you big on the forward facing sonar and all that new
Yeah,
technology? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You,
So that technology is extremely um, beneficial to help break down fisheries quicker, because you're gaining so much information of what's going on under the surface of the water, that when you're able to use that technology, you can really get an understanding of how the fish are set up or how they're moving, how they're swimming, and just paint the whole picture a lot quicker than instead of kind of making guesses as you go, like we used to do. You can just get factual information right there off of the sonar.
what have been some of like the toughest lakes that you fished or bodies of
Man,
water in general?
yeah. Yeah, so for me personally, and I guess it just kind of fits into my fishing style, but I really struggle on those fisheries that fluctuate a lot. Those reservoirs that have a huge swing in elevation. So take, some of the lakes around me now, take like Douglas Lake, for instance. It has like a 40 to 50 foot swing in water level throughout the year. So like right now, it's getting to be late fall into winter. They draw the lake way down to that 40 or 50 feet low, and then as the spring rains come in, it rises back up. So there's most of the time you fish there, the lake is going to be fairly low. The bulk of the year, unless you get a big rain or something. So there's not a whole lot of structure in that lake. It's basically just rock and sand. So that's something that I've always struggled with are those type of fisheries, because everything looks the same, and it's really hard to kind of wrap my mind around those fish moving that much when you actually see, like, it feels like you're on the moon when you're fishing at that low, because it just looks so weird. You know what you're looking at is usually underwater, but now it's dry land. So it's that's something that I've always struggled with, for sure. Those lakes like that, and then extremely dirty water is something that I really don't like and try to avoid.
So with the lakes with sand and like a few rocks, what
Yeah.
makes the fish like hold in one place? Like if they don't have structure, if like what would make them on like a sandy bottom lake, like what would make them stay in one place?
That's a really good question. I wish I knew. Then I wouldn't struggle with those, right? I guess it has to do with the bait fish, or whatever they're eating, crawfish, bait
Right.
fish,
Yeah.
whatever. I guess that's what determines any where they're at, because
Of
so
course.
much of it looks the same that I feel like they yeah, it's hard to pinpoint like where they're going to be. You just kind of fish, and hopefully you find a few.
Because I'm trying to pick your brain a little bit. I do a lot of largemouth bass fishing, but from shore. So like,
Yeah,
what should I look for when I'm walking the shoreline, like trying to find largemouth?
Well, if there's grass in the fishery, that's what you're looking for close to the shore, for sure.
All right, I guess better
So
question would be in a reservoir where I'm fishing for them, and it's a drop off. It's
yeah,
not like a sandy bottom. Like I'm fishing on a rock, drops off probably like 20 feet, and then it goes out, gets deeper.
yeah.
Clear water. I know there are bass there. I've caught them up to 22 inches, but like, what's the best way to go for them in that situation?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. When you're fishing off the bank, you're extremely limited on, obviously the amount of
Yeah,
water that you can fish. So, the probably the best tip would be to fish some baits that are fairly slow. Throwing a jig or a shaky
like a
head or a Ned
Senko.
rig, Senko.
Yeah,
Always hard to beat a Senko. Anywhere you go,
right.
any time of year, anywhere you go. But
Undefeated.
yes, the Cinco is 100% undefeated.
Do
If
you
you need
find
a bite,
yourself going for that in tournaments sometimes? You're like, man,
oh yeah, there's not a tournament that I'll fish that I don't have a Cinco rigged up and ready.
what's your favorite color? Or does it depend on the water quality?
It definitely depends. I got a few. I probably my number one favorite is mowed grass. It's called.
Interesting. I never
It's
heard of that one.
Yeah, it's kind of a water. It's kind of like a dark watermelon, so it's a dark greenish color with some purple glitter mixed in.
Okay.
It's just a very very natural looking dark green color that I really like. It's just a little bit different than your standard green pumpkin or black and blue or something like that. Those are
Yeah.
all great, but I've just always tried to do something just a little bit different.
So, is there one way that you retrieve it, or like how do you retrieve a senko? Like when I do it, it's nice and slow, super
Yeah.
slow, painfully slow. Actually, is that the only way to do it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I depending on how deep you're fishing, you got to let it sink to the bottom and then just kind of slowly pop it around on the bottom. I would say probably 75% of the time I'm throwing it wacky style,
Oh,
where you're
okay.
rigging it
Cool.
in the middle.
Yeah.
and then the other 25% I'd do more like a Texas rig style.
Yeah.
And throwing him around. But yeah, basically most of the bites you're going to get on a Cinco are on the fall.
Yeah.
So you just kind of let it slowly fall down towards the bottom or the piece of cover that you're fishing, and hopefully one picks it up.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm getting so hyped talking about bass. I wish I could go bass fishing right now, right after this interview.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I heard that.
Oh man. Where are you at right now in terms of the tour? Are you like, you have something coming up? Like, what's going on?
So the tournament season's basically over
It's
at this
over?
point.
Okay.
We have so yeah, the main regular season is done. There's a couple special. I guess there's one specialty event left that I'll be fishing. I guess in about a week and a half from now. It's the Major League Fishing Team Series where you get to
Oh,
pair up with
cool.
a buddy. You
Who,
pair up
who are
with a
you
buddy.
going with?
So I'm fishing with Spencer Sheffield. That's one of
Okay.
my buddies that
I've heard of him.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I travel with all year. We room together on the regular season of the tour. So we pair up together, and now we're fishing out of the same boat against some other teams for kind of a specialty event. But after that, the season will officially be over, and we start prepping for 2026. But really, that season kicks off in the middle of January, so we don't really have a whole lot of downtime.
Yeah. You don't have that much time. Yeah.
No.
So what do you do in that little window? Do you kind of recharge, or are you out there fishing, training? Like, what are you doing?
A little bit of all that. Definitely
Yeah.
some relaxing and recharging, family time, friends time, stuff like that. Working on the behind the scenes stuff like creating content for our sponsors, going out on the water, definitely training to become a better angler, fun fishing, just to get out and enjoy fishing. And then, kind of making sure everything's dialed in on the boat, the truck, the sponsors, and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Who are some of your sponsors?
Oh, we got a nice list of sponsors going. Some of the bigger ones are Fish USA. They're a big online tackle retailer. So they got anything you can need for fishing, not just bass fishing. Just like if you fish for any species, Fish USA has something for you on their website. So it's a really really good partnership with them. And then GSM is kind of the parent company of like Yamamoto Baits or Bill Lewis or Robo Worm. A lot of those companies support us as well. But really the list goes on and on. Suzuki Marine, that's what powers my boat, my Phoenix boat. There's a lot of great sponsors that support us, and really anything you can think of that's fishing related, we probably have some sort of sponsor in some way.
That's cool, man. What was your first sponsor that you got?
We go back to that winning that tournament. They allowed me to start my professional career the next year. I didn't have a single clue about sponsorship or anything. I was so green that I really had no idea what I was getting into. And basically I took that money that I won, and my local bass club that I was in kind of put together a little fundraiser and raised a few $100s from buddies and stuff to give me. So technically that could be considered a sponsorship. I got maybe a couple $1,000s from friends and stuff to kind of help me throughout the way.
No,
But
like your first brand
yeah,
deal.
the
Yeah.
first real sponsor that a recognizable name in the industry would be Eagle Claw.
Cool. Great
So that
brand.
was
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm still with them today. So it's pretty cool that they stuck by my side the whole time, and started out at just helping me out any way they could. But at the time that was I felt like the biggest deal I'd ever seen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what does that start with? Like an email? They just hit you up with an email and they're like, "Hey."
Yeah, kind of that way. A lot of the fishing industry, as I'm sure is a lot of relationships. So
Yep.
it's about who you know or who you the person that you know who they know, and it's building those connections. So I was kind of fortunate with that. Is one of the my buddies that I grew up fishing team tournaments with in the Pittsburgh area. He kind of got into the tackle industry as far as on the sales side, and so he was a little connected with a few brands. And one of his buddies worked for Eagle Claw, so that's kind of how the connection got made. And it's from there. I took it into my hands to reach out to him and have that conversation. And once we started that relationship, what's super important to me was making sure that I made a good impression on them and did everything well,
Right.
that they would want to continue to do that. So
Yeah.
from there, we just kind of built it into what we have today.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And then the
Yeah, it's
rest,
amazing what you can do with a little hard work and dedication.
that's it. And it also, you got to be cool with people, because it sounds
Yeah.
like it took multiple people to really make that happen, but they all believed, because you were
No
nice
doubt.
to them. It really doesn't
No
take
doubt.
that much. It's
That's
crazy.
that's what it's all about. It's hard work, dedication, like we talked about, and then
Yep.
building those relationships
Treat people the
with
right
people.
way. That's it.
That's it. That's really life in general, not just
Really,
fishing.
totally.
We're getting deep. We're
But
getting deep here
that's
in
the
this
beauty of
podcast.
fishing. I mean, fishing is life in so many ways. I mean, we could get
Yeah.
really deep. I mean, I don't know. It's
That's a fact.
it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing, and you're making a living off fishing, bro. Hey everyone, this is Victor Lucia, founder of the Brooklyn Fishing Club. If you've been listening for a while and want to be part of what we're building, now's the time to join the club. For just $200 a year, members get serious perks: 20% off all shop purchases, expeditions, and fishing lessons, plus a free hat and t-shirt when you sign up. You'll also get one free guided trip with me, invite-only club events, access to VIP destination adventures, and exclusive online seminars with special guests from the fishing world. It's more than a membership. It's your all-access pass to the Brooklyn Fishing Club community. Spots are limited, so head to brooklynfishingclub.com and join today. Brooklyn Fishing Club, where New York City goes fishing. Come on.
Yeah.
You must
I
wake
know.
up
I'm-
every morning and be like, thank you, God.
I do. I pinch myself. Seems like every day or every other day. I'm like, this can't be real. But
Right.
here we are.
Here we are. Here we are, winning another tournament. And then you got Angler of the Year, right? What was that, last year or the year before?
So yeah, the year before in 2023.
2023. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Like what goes into getting Angler of the Year? Like what had to happen in order for you to achieve that accomplishment?
Yeah, that's that's Angler of the Year is like the year-long points champion. So basically that means every tournament that we fished throughout the year, so there were 7 stages, you accumulate points based on your finish. And after those 7 tournaments, I had the best season out of everybody on the tour. So, that's kind of how you figure your Angler of the Year. And man, there's so many things that went into that. Obviously not we're not going to talk about all of the years and years of practice and
Right.
figuring out the fish and all that kind of stuff in the past, but just in that year, there was a lot of long travel days, driving to tournaments and pre-fishing, kind of breaking down the fisheries, and then just there was some just very very unique things that happened that you can only point that it was a God thing that happened that year, that I was just meant to win it. And it was just meant to be part of my path for sure. Many of those situations happened where I caught a fish where maybe I shouldn't have, or I stopped somewhere I've never even fished before in the tournament and ended up catching a big one, or things like that just happened all throughout the year, where it really felt like I could do nothing wrong no matter where we were, where we went. I knew I was going to catch some big fish by the end of the day. And that's just kind of how it all came to fruition. And really, that year you fished the entire season, seven tournaments, 4-day tournaments. So what's that? That 7 times 4 is 28 days. You got 28 days, and it came down to the very last day of the season, and really the last hour, 2 hours of the
Wow.
season to determine who won Angler of the Year, and thankfully we ended up on top that year.
So what happened in that last 2 hours? What did
So
you?
in that last tournament, actually heading into the last tournament, I was trailing by a few points in the standings. So
Uh-huh.
the guy that I was chasing was actually also made the final day of that tournament. And I had a great day. So I ended up winning that tournament, the final event of the year. But since I was trailing him, he had to finish 4 spots behind me in order to win Angler of the Year. So I was, it was one of those weird situations where I was actually leading the tournament. I was about to win. I kind of had already caught the fish to win the tournament. Um, so I was kind of a little less concerned about that. And I was almost like scoreboard watching to see like how the other angler was doing to see, if he was going to make a jump to finish within the 4 spots of me to win Angler of the Year, or if he was going to stay back, and if I was going to win it. So it was a really unique situation, but it ended up working out in our favor.
You must have been sweating, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. And again, it was the same sort of conditions where it was windy and rainy, and I just have those memories of the perfect storm again. It's like big waves and wind and rain. It just seems to be a theme of when I win, I
Man,
guess.
that's when you shine.
Apparently. I've never really thought about it, but now that we're sitting here thinking about it, that's exactly. I never win when it's sunny and calm. It's always got to be nasty.
So now you got to pray for rain every tournament.
Yeah, rain and wind.
Rain and wind. That's it. So when you're winning these tournaments, you have a co-angler with you, or are you doing this solo? Or
No, so on the Bass Pro Tour, it's completely solo fishing. I will have a marshal in the boat with me, or a boat official is what they call him,
oh,
where
okay,
he is weighing the fish and typing them into a live leaderboard on an iPad. So all of the scoring's live, and it's catch, weigh, release. So we catch the fish, and then we weigh them and release them immediately, right on the spot.
yeah,
And
it's
he's
so
typing
cool.
in the
It wasn't
information. Yeah,
always like that. MLF has brought that to the table.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't always that
What's it
way, and
called?
that's
Score tracker, right?
score tracker. Yep,
Yeah,
we're,
yeah,
we're so the score tracker is basically our scoreboard, our leaderboard that
yeah,
we're looking throughout the day, paying attention to where we are and how things are going. But yeah, so it'd be me and a boat official, and then if you're doing well in the tournament, you'll also have a cameraman in the boat with you. But really, that's it. There's nobody else fishing, nobody else helping you making decisions. It's all on you. Those guys are just there to weigh the fish and make sure you look good on camera.
yeah. What's a lesson that you've learned from losing a tournament that made you better in the long run?
Ooh, that's a good question. I immediately think of I have one second place finish that I think about, and um, it definitely made me a little more at ease. Um, just knowing that when it's meant to be, it's going to work out. There's some times where you could do everything absolutely right and still get beat. Somebody just did it better, or it just wasn't meant to be for your time to win. So that was, that second place kind of put things into perspective for me, that I felt like I fished a great tournament, but things just didn't quite work out. I didn't win. So I definitely learned a lot with that, as far as just having that peace of mind and that patience, and knowing that you can do everything you can on the water, but if it's not meant for you to win that tournament, then you're not going to win that tournament no
That's
matter
it.
what you do.
Yeah, that's it, man. Oh man. Oh, I just
So
had
how
a
about
really.
you? Do you fish any tournaments, or are you just in it for the fun?
Oh no, we actually. It's funny you asked. We did one tournament in 2020. we got invited to Peter Miller invited me to Guatemala, and I was going to go solo, but then I ended up putting a team together and we competed, and we won the sailfish tournament. 63
Heck
sailfish in 3 days. It was me, a college kid, an older couple, and somehow we freaking put this together. It was the craziest story too. It was one of those things where everything came together, because the first day we did really well. We came in third after the first day out of like 12 boats.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's cool. My whole goal going into it was just to not end in last place. Like that was
Right.
cool with me, you know?
Right.
So that was the main goal. And second day, our boat breaks down in the harbor and everybody else speeds past us and goes out. Dude, we were broken down for 2 hours.
Oh no.
There was a tiny piece of plastic in the bilge pump. It was crazy. It took like 5 guys. They had to rip up the whole boat.
Yeah.
And we ended up going out, and then we ended up placing second, and everybody was like, okay, what's going on? They thought we were cheating because we lost 2 hours. They were like, how could they have pulled off second? So the third day we go into it, and there's a different first mate on the boat, and immediately I'm getting like a weird vibe from this guy. I'm like, why is this fucking guy here? You know, I don't know much about tournament fishing, but usually it has to, the same crew has to be there the whole time, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, whatever. We go out, we're doing pretty good. He gets in front of me 2 different times when we had a sailfish in the spread. He stood in front of me so I couldn't throw the pitch bait to it.
What?
2 times. So I'm like, you know, if he does this again, I'm going to fucking put him on his back. He did it again. I hip checked him. I laced him onto his back. I told him to get back in the fucking cabin. Dude, I had a moment. I was screaming at him. we had like 2 hours left in the tournament, and we got bumped out of even the top 3. And in that last 2 hours, I had just lost my dad, and I went to the bow of the boat, and I prayed to my dad. I was like, Dad, please, like, give me a sign. Like, we're so close to winning this. Like, come on, dude.
Right.
5 minutes later, a bait ball pops up on the surface with like dolphins and whales around it and tuna and dude, we circled that bait ball for the last 2 hours. We caught 18 fish and we won.
Holy cow, that's an awesome story.
We freaking won, and we brought back the first ever, you know, billfish tournament ever to New York City.
That's awesome.
Oh man, thanks for asking. I've always wanted to tell that story on the show.
Yeah, that is super cool. Yeah.
So that's the one and only tournament we've been in. And you know, it was so funny when we won, everybody that we were competing against was from like, you know, south of Mason-Dixon line, like Florida, Louisiana, you know, they were like, they could not fucking believe that these New Yorkers fucking
showed up,
came down there and won, dude. It was unbelievable. They were barely clapping for us at the awards ceremony.
Dude, that ties all together with what I just said. Like, when it's your time, you can't do anything wrong, and it
couldn't
happens,
stop it.
You know?
They couldn't stop it, dude.
Yep, that's funny how that works. But you've experienced it yourself in the one tournament you fished. I love to hear it.
Hell yeah, dude. Oh man. So what's like one of the downsides of this lifestyle of being a pro angler?
Yeah. Well, you know,
it's not all glory, you know.
No, we talked about a lot of good and that kind of stuff. You know, the downside. I mean, for me, I love everything. So don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say I'm complaining about anything. But if I had to change a few things, it would, you know, the driving can get old. There's a lot of travel, a lot of driving on the road. I mean, we put probably 45,000 miles a year on the trucking boat, you know, driving all over the country. So a whole lot of driving and a whole lot of time away from home.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to have a home life with family or friends or anything like that, or even just housekeep,
Right.
around your own home. It's hard to have that normal life at home because you're gone for over half the year or more, so it's it's definitely a lot on that side of things. If I could change one thing about it, it would definitely kind of be the what we talked about earlier, the cost of getting into it, because
Yeah.
I feel like if we're going to compare fishing to other sports or tournament fishing to other sports, I feel like you have some of the kids like myself that may be the next best fisherman, but they just can't afford to make it. Whereas, if you're the best football player, you're gonna find your way to the highest level, because it's not as expensive to get into.
Yeah.
Whereas the fishing side of things, you have those probably the greatest fishermen out there right now, just but can't get into it, and
Right.
and I don't like that side of things. So I would love to be able to change that, but I don't have a solution for that. So that's just kind of wishful thinking.
Yeah. What do you do to give back to the fishing community?
Yeah, I run a YouTube channel that's really designed for education. So I do my best to educate
That's
everyone
cool.
on the YouTube channel.
What's the name of the channel so everybody can follow it?
Yeah, so it's just Matt Becker Fishing. So it's just my name, Matt Becker Fishing. And we do 3 videos a week, and a lot of
Nice.
them's tip and educational stuff. So helping anglers figure out a new technique or a new bait or something like that. So
That's
that's
awesome.
one way that I really like educating and helping people catch fish. I kind of at that point in my career where I almost get more joy out of seeing people catch fish on something that I taught them rather than catching it myself. So
Yeah.
really love that side of things. And then, do a lot with, the same sort of thing with high school fishing and college fishing and that kind of stuff. Love, educating those passionate anglers anytime I can.
Yeah. Now you can go to college for bass fishing. I mean,
I know.
we've done interviews with some of the guys that do it, and it's amazing. When I was a kid, you couldn't do that.
Nope. It's incredible. It really is. There's some colleges that'll give scholarships for
Yeah.
for bass fishing now, which is really really cool to see, and hopefully that just continues to build into the future. And you're kind of seeing that, the kind of the profits of that coming now in the highest level, and the professional tournament scene is you're seeing the average age just continue to get younger and younger and younger, because these kids are getting into high school and college tournaments and getting so good at such a young age that you're seeing the age of a professional angler really decline here over the last few years. And I think it's just going to continue that way as the kids get better and get into it at an earlier age and really start taking it serious.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool thing to watch. I mean, this whole relationship between Brooklyn Fishing Club and MLF, Major League Fishing, all started because I saw one of our guys in the club wrote an article about Dylan Quilliton.
Yeah.
If
Oh
I'm
yeah.
and I interviewed him, and then I interviewed Joe, but Dylan is like, 17-year-old kid. His story is crazy. He convinced his whole family to move to Florida to chase his dream. I mean, and that
Yeah.
just, that's a 17-year-old kid. So, now you got to worry about these young guns,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And and when a young man puts his heart to something, he's generally going to win and have whatever it takes.
He's dangerous.
So he's very dangerous. So you're going to continue to see that, see things get younger and younger, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. What's your PB largemouth?
My personal best largemouth, I actually caught it this year on Lake Chickamauga here, right by my house. It's
Nice.
11 pounds
Damn.
even.
What'd you get
Yep.
that one on?
I caught that actually on a glide bait.
Cool.
So one of my buddies, Kurt Mitchell with War Panda Baits, he's actually from Delaware, so not too far from
I've
you.
heard of War
He,
Panda. Yeah.
Yeah, he makes the War Panda, so he made it by hand and painted it up, and I bought it from him and took it down to Chickamauga and caught my personal best. So it's that's a cool story for sure.
That's awesome, man. You have any superstitions?
Superstitions. Well, probably the most common one that everyone will know about is no bananas in the boat.
Okay, so you're a believer of that.
I've had too many instances where
Let's hear
the,
about
the
some of these instances that made you a believer.
so the most recent one that happened, this was a few years ago. I is fishing a tournament out west, and this was a tournament where you had a co-angler in the back of the boat. So this was a 3-day tournament. Um, the first day of the tournament, I caught about 20 pounds of bass. The third day of the tournament, I caught about 20 pounds of bass. But in that second day of the tournament, I only caught about 8 pounds of bass. And there was only one thing that really changed at all those 3 days was my co-angler on that second day had a bag of banana chips in the boat.
Oh my god. What a rookie. Are you kidding me?
I know, right?
Oh my god. What'd you say to him?
I mean, so by the time that I realized what was going on, I was just having one of those days where everything was going wrong. I was
Yeah.
losing fish and just missing fish and all that kind of stuff. So I knew something was off that day, but then I hear some rustling in the back of the boat, and I turn around, and he's got about a gallon Ziploc bag of banana chips. And at that point, I just knew the day was over, and
Half a gallon of banana chips. I'm dying,
yeah.
dude.
So I'm a
You just
believer.
looked
No,
at
no
that. You
bananas
just
in the
probably.
boat.
I wish I would pay to have seen your face when you looked back and
Yeah.
saw that. You're just like, fuck.
Yep. Like honestly,
Oh
I
my
was
god.
kind of mad about how the day was going and like why I was losing
Yeah,
fish
like
and why it
you
wasn't
couldn't
working
put it
out.
together. You're like, what the
I couldn't
fuck is
figure it
going
out.
on? Yeah.
Yeah, but once I saw that, I honestly kind of came to peace with it. I was like, okay, now I understand.
Oh man, I believe in it too. I believe in it too. Some of my guests don't believe in it, but the guests that do believe in it, the stories that they tell me, come on, come on.
I mean, I can remember even back when I was a kid, going fishing off the bank. I was going bluegill fishing with one of my buddies. Like my dad dropped us off. We were going to this little pond, and this pond, it was usually like a guaranteed we were going to catch 30 to 50 bluegill in no time and just have fun reeling in some big bluegill. But we get out there and like things are slow. We're not catching anything. And I'm like, this is weird. And then my buddy goes into his backpack and pulls out a banana. So it's not even just in the boat. It's just fishing. You
It
don't
goes
take
way
bananas
back.
fishing.
Yeah, we've had this guy on the show, Bouncer Smith. He's a legend. He was a charter captain out of Miami. He had the Fruit of the Loom CEO on the boat, and
No way.
he cut out the tags of all their clothing because it had a banana in it.
Oh, that's funny.
And Fruit of the Loom actually ended up changing their logo. They removed the banana from the logo because of Bouncer.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow, that's funny.
crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone into the depths of that as well. There was a time where, fishing team tournaments with my buddies that we would fish. Every Sunday growing up in Pittsburgh, we would fish a tournament every Sunday, and we got to a point where we were winning. Quite a few of those. We were doing really well, so we had won 3 or 4 in a row, and then my buddy's wife bought him some new sunscreen and put it in the boat and didn't tell us.
No.
And all of a sudden, we didn't win for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and we were like, "What was going on with that?" And
Oh
I,
no.
I looked over at a sunscreen, and it was Banana Boat sunscreen.
Oh my god. Dude, it's real. It's real.
So we threw that away, and then I think the next week on the next Sunday we ended up winning again. So I was sold.
Man, I've been out on a charter. I've taken kids fishing. I was a teacher. You know, 6 hour charter. We're trolling. 4 hours, nothing. Kid takes out a banana, starts eating it, rip it out of his hands, throw it overboard. And within 15 minutes, we're hooked up. So.
Yep. That's how it goes.
I've seen it, man. Oh man.
That's funny.
What's your biggest smallmouth?
Biggest smallmouth is 6 pounds, 12 ounces.
Wow, that's a tank, dude. Where'd you get that?
That's a giant. So that came out of Lake Ontario.
Wow.
Up there in New York, Thousand Islands area. That place is absolutely incredible for big ones, and actually caught it in a tournament. So I won that tournament in 2017. I went back in 2018 to kind of defend my title, and I actually caught it in that tournament the next year after I had won 2018.
It's amazing.
612.
612. What a tank, dude. Oh
yeah.
My God. The fight on that must have been insane.
It's incredible. Incredible.
So in these tournaments, like, how often do you get to target the smallmouth and the largemouth? Is that usually a thing that happens with every tournament, or?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the fishery. So some of the places we go, they're both readily available. Some of them, it's only one species or the other. It really depends on the fishery and where we're going, time of year, that kind of stuff. I really like places where you can target both of them, because I like mixing it up and trying a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I really prefer that, but it really depends on the fishery and time of year and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. Oh man. If you could give advice to a kid, who's trying to put it all together, trying to get his first boat, what would you tell them?
Oh, I mean, just don't give up. We touched on that at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't give up. You got to have that
Can't
attitude
stop.
where never stop, never give up. If you want it, you can make it happen. I promise you that, because if I can do it, anybody can. So if you want it, you can make it happen. And that's what I tell a lot of people. And I try and if somebody asks me that, or ask how to do something, if a younger angler is asking me for advice, I always try and make sure they understand the level of dedication and commitment that it takes, because I
Right.
think a lot of people think they understand what it takes, but they really, really don't. You have to
Yeah.
fully commit to everything, and every spare second that you have, you got to be, doing something to better your game or organize your boat or your tackle better. All those things factor into it, and they all in turn make you a better angler, and can definitely push you to the next level.
Definitely. Definitely. I want to ask you a little bit about like the practice days that go into this, because some of the bass pros I've interviewed, who was it? Skeet Reese, I think I was talking to. He was saying that if he has a good practice day, he knows he's not going to do well on the regular day, on the tournament day. And if he has a bad practice day, he'll usually do better. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, that's kind of a universal thing. It seems like whenever my theory on it is you get really focused on one thing during your practice period. If you have a good practice and you're catching fish in those practice days, you really start getting focused, and that's the only thing that matters to you, is what those fish were doing that day, and you really kind of get tunnel vision almost, and that's the only thing you're looking for. And then the tournament starts 2 days later, 3 days later, whatever it may be. Things could be totally different, but you're stuck in that tunnel vision where that's whatever they were doing when you caught all those fish or had all those bites a few days ago. You're just stuck looking at just that, and you can kind of get stuck in a rut. And that's how I see a lot of people, turn a good practice into a bad tournament, is just getting that tunnel vision and not having an open mind. And I feel like every tournament angler struggles with that at some point where, you're like, I know they were just here the other day, or this is what they were biting, but the tournament is all about catching them during the tournament hours. So you got to
Yeah.
figure out how to catch them that day and what they're doing that day, not what they were doing a couple days ago. So I definitely agree with that. My best tournaments are always when, I'll get a couple bites. The fishing's going to be fairly tough, but you get a couple bites in a few different spots, and then you kind of hunker down in those places for the whole tournament and just kind of catch whatever you can in those areas.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. The whole thing is like, it's such a process. There's so many different factors that go into.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
and half of the factors you can't even control. So like,
For sure. I mean, the one of the biggest factors of what we do is the weather. And I mean,
yeah,
you have no control over the weather.
none.
You're adjusting to whatever the weather is doing. And that's kind of where the knowledge and experience comes into play. But you're constantly making adjustments and minute adjustments. And that's kind of where I would say the biggest disconnect between your average fisherman and your top level professional tournament anglers is going to be in that right there, is making those small adjustments and being aware of everything that's going on. I feel like mechanically, as far as casting and retrieving baits, I feel like most anglers are, your average angler is not that far off from what the top level tournament anglers are doing on a mechanic side of things. But on that, mental side of it and decision making and making adjustments, like that's where the top level guys really separate themselves from your average fisherman.
It's really interesting. I hope anybody listening that wants to become a bass pro is taking notes, because this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
I've got, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to kind of compare it to, another sport, like if you took your, say, golf, for instance, like if you took your average weekend golf player to the top level golf pro, there's going to be a huge disconnect there. Like they're not even close to the same. But
Right.
fishing's not that way. Fishing, your average weekend fisherman mechanically, he's going to be pretty close to your top level pros. But it's all the mental side of things that really separates them.
Definitely, man. It's a crazy thing. I could never do it. I mean, I feel like if I hit enough, I don't know. I mean, if I was entering tournaments and I wasn't doing better, like I guess you must see a lot of guys that like phase out of it, right? Like
Oh
since you
yeah,
started doing it, like yeah.
for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of attrition, and it's crazy. There's really not that many professional anglers in the grand scheme of things. There's a
Yeah.
lot of guys that try to do it, and generally you'll get five, maybe 10. At, Probably 10 is pushing it a year that really stick around for a while. It's probably even less than that. You're probably only looking at a few guys that get into it each calendar year that will stick with the professionals level for a long time, kind of make a career out of it. So it's really, really high attrition rate in the grand scheme of things. But it's, like I said, if you're dedicated to it, hard work, anything can happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got one more question for you.
All right.
If you could fish one on one against any angler, past or present, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Hey everyone. Hope you enjoyed this week's show and thanks for listening. If you haven't already, join the Brooklyn Fishing Club and become part of our crew. Members get 20% off all shop purchases, expeditions, and fishing lessons, plus a free hat and t-shirt when you sign up. It's only $200 a year. Head to brooklynfishingclub.com and sign up today. Brooklyn Fishing Club, where New York City goes fishing.
I think I would go with Rick Clunn. He is
Interesting.
he's one of the legends of the bass fishing world. I've never got to fish against him. And I would love to, be able to do that. And especially Rick Clunn in his prime, back, say 30 or 40 years ago when Rick was winning every tournament. I would love to, fish against him then and just kind of pick his brain a little bit on how he was thinking at that time. Like I was just saying, the bulk of this is mental, and
Yeah.
and that's what I get so much enjoyment out of, is the mental side of things, figuring out what the fish are doing, and then hearing other people's stories about how they figured it out or what they figured out. It's just so cool, to hear that side of things. So that would be my pick.
Is Rick still around? Do you know? Or is he passed away?
So he's still here. He is, I believe last year was his 50th year of professional tournaments.
Wow.
He fished for 50 years, and then he kind of semi-retired this year. He still does a few tournaments, but he retired from the highest level. But it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
I got to get him on the show. I'm going to talk to Joe about it.
Yeah. That would be a great interview for sure.
I'm going to do some research on him. Thanks for putting me on to him. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
for sure.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for being a guest, man. I really appreciate your time. This was a great interview.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Glad we could hop on. This was fun.
Definitely, man. And if you ever find yourself in New York City, I'll put you on some striped bass.
Oh yeah. I'm game for that. That sounds fun.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, you have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. We'll see you.
Don't you walk on me.